Hello everyone. Welcome to part 2 of Can I Get a Smile challenge. With a slight delay, but things are a little wild right now, so I hope you will forgive me. Now let's get into the fluff, shall we? As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You're keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. Before we start, however, allow me to direct your attention to my shop, where besides the new Semishira keychains, you can also find the Kyohaba ones, the Pride bracelet collection, Nekoma bracelet, and some other cool jewelry I make. Link is in the description. The challenge truly couldn't come at a better time. With everything going on recently, Kindaichi could almost forget what Kunimi's smile looked like. Obviously not literally, he would never forget something so beautiful, but there really wasn't much his fiancée could smile about the last few weeks. So now it was time to change it. Of course, he could just go to him and ask, but that kind of dry challenge wasn't for him. He wanted Kunimi to smile for real, with the genuine smile that softened his whole face and made his dark eyes glimmer with happiness. That one. And for that, he needed to prepare some things. He just didn't expect his leg would betray him again. Damn it. Damn the crutches, damn the bones, damn everything! He cursed under his breath as he very slowly made his way back home from the shop he knew sold Kunimi's favorite caramel pieces. The journey and added weight into his backpack from the previous shopping, turning the walk into a living hell. Thoroughly regretting he didn't just take a taxi, he struggled up the few stairs in front of their door, short of breath and aching all over. If Akira finds out about this, he's not going to smile no matter how I'll back. Fortunately, Kunimi wasn't home yet, and he had a perfect lie prepared for when the question of where all this food came from came up. It definitely wasn't going to fail because he was a horrible liar and his legs just didn't want to stop hurting even when he finally sat down. Great. Just great. Maybe I should really go to the doctor again. This isn't normal. It should be getting better, not worse. The thought sent shivers down his spine. While he liked his current job, all he wanted was to get back to actively playing volleyball. Elephants were generous enough to keep him on the injured players list for the time being. But who knew how long that benevolence was going to last? Okay, stop. No use to bother with that now. Moving as little as he could, he gathered all the snacks he brought, spreading some of Kunimi's favorite violets around for decoration, finishing just in time to light the scented candles seconds before he heard Kunimi open the door. Welcome home. Kunimi just hummed in answer and immediately plopped down next to Kindaichi, snuggling deep into his arms like the big cat he was. Warm. Were you cold? No, but warm. Kindaichi chuckled at that thought process and petted his fiancée's hair. Though it wasn't difficult to guess Kunimi probably meant emotional warmth rather than physical. And so he hugged him a bit tighter to hopefully provide a shield from the outside world, to give his beloved a place he would feel absolutely safe. Any new development at work? Looks like they'll want a reimbursement from him for the money the bank already lost. And they'll fire him too. That's good for the beginning, but they should be pressing charges. You too, honestly. Kunimi sighed and hid deeper into the embrace. I know, it's difficult. Okay, then how about you give me a smile? I'll give you some caramel pieces and then we talk about it. He had to smile himself when he saw Kunimi perk up at the word caramel. Kunimi's eyes actually twinkled when he spotted the snacks on the coffee table, and then perhaps even more when he turned to Kindaichi with the brightest smile on his lips. You are amazing. Just the best for you. Living with someone like Kita, who didn't smile all that often, was interesting in regards to this challenge, but Aran was determined to make it work. After all, Kita wasn't the cold robot a lot of people had him for back in high school. He could show emotions. He just didn't do it often. But a smile wasn't a difficult thing to ask for. Saying that though, it took one look at Kita's exhausted expression and the whole plan came to a halt. Difficult day? Sighing heavily, Kita nodded and all but flopped down on the couch with his arms over his eyes, a soft whine escaping his mouth. It's always so much work to prepare the fields for the winter, and it has to be done in such a short time frame. Maybe we really should hire some help next year. Why hire? Let's just invite the twins and tell them they aren't getting any rice if they don't help out. Surprisingly, Kita snorted a short laugh, which was just another example of how tired he was. Yet, Aran loved the sound anyway. It was cute. I didn't know you were pro unpaid labor. Only when it comes to the Mias. But I mean, it would be enough to mention that you need help, and knowing how much they adore you, they would be here the same day. Maybe. How about we just invite them for a visit? The prospect of hosting the twins and their partners on the farm brought up conflicting emotions in Aran's chest. Not that he didn't want to see the twins again, but they were a handful, to say the least, even now as adults. Suna wasn't much better either, only Sakusa seemed to act his age. Also, he was pretty sure Kita wouldn't allow him to get them to work on the farm since they were guests in the end, which kinda defeated the whole purpose. But hey, worse things could happen. With a soft sigh, he leaned over Kita and pulled his arm away from his face to kiss his forehead, earning one of the most adorable nose scrunches he had ever seen. How about I run you a bath, After so much work, you deserve a treat. That would be fantastic, my dear. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. It's going to cost you something. The confusion on Kita's face was so adorable, Aran could swear he felt his heart do a somersault in his chest. Cost me? Yeah, you gotta give me a smile first. Kita blinked a few times, and then the sweetest smile curled his lips, speeding up Aran's heartbeat. I see. Will this be enough? More than enough. He leaned down again, this time to capture Kita's lips. The angle made it a bit awkward, but the sweet taste was still the same. Determined to treat his partner like the princess he deserved, he scooped Kita up into his arms, earning a surprised squeal, and carefully carried him into the bathroom, a sudden need to touch him at all times taking over him. Glad to get back into challenges, and with a nice one to start it off too, Kenji could forget all troubles that followed him from work and focus solely on his plan. Sure, he could ask straight up, but he wanted Aone to smile naturally since, in his humble opinion, nothing made his heart flutter like seeing his beloved's real smile when something pleased him. Well, maybe he could think of some more, but those weren't appropriate thoughts for the late afternoon. Perhaps later. That aside though, what am I supposed to do? He smiles when I'm being stupid, but that's not special. He flinched from the sudden pressure against his forehead, startled before he recognized Aone standing above him with a curious tilt of his head. You were frowning. Oh, was I? Aone nodded, so serious it was almost funny to see. Sighing, Kenji sprang up to his feet and stood up on his tiptoes to get a kiss before he tugged on Aone's hand. It's fine, no worries. I just need to figure something out. Say, what makes you really happy? It was a stupid thing to ask, especially after spending years by each other's side and knowing every fiber of the other's being. But he was running short of ideas. Aone seemed accordingly surprised too, and Kenji cringed inwardly. I know I shouldn't ask this after everything, but I really want to make you smile today, and I'm not sure what I can do for you to achieve that. How embarrassing. They were supposed to get married soon, and yet he couldn't find a single thing that would make his fiancée smile. However, before he could sink too deep into the self-deprecating spiral, Aone cracked a small smile and wrapped his arm around his shoulders to pull him to his side. Just be yourself. That makes me happy. I meant more like physical things. You know, acts of service, or gifts, or activities, that sort of stuff. The smirk that curled Aone's lips sent shivers down his spine. If excited or nervous, he wasn't entirely sure. He wasn't even sure if he had ever seen this expression on Aone's face outside their bedroom, which didn't leave much room for doubt about what he was thinking of. Then, however, his face softened into his usual smile as he caressed Kenji's cheek. I'm happy whenever I'm with you. That's more than enough. You're impossible. But I guess I'm glad you like to spend time with me. Of course. I wouldn't be marrying you otherwise. Kenji blushed, the reminder of their upcoming big day making his heart beat faster. He entwined their fingers together and leaned more into Aone's side, feeling warmer and more secure than ever. Truly, the wedding day couldn't come fast enough. The challenge came at the right time for them indeed. Not that there was some bad blood between them again, but there was still a lot to work on. Fortunately, the tense atmosphere didn't return for a while now, and it seemed like they were on a good way to reconnect to the same degree they used to be. Yet, Oikawa still felt some remnants of sourness hanging in the air occasionally. It was his fault, of course it was. He wasn't going to argue with Iwaizumi about it. He was the one who didn't trust his fiancée for no reason. He was the one who cracked the bond they shared. And now he had to work hard to repair it. Hopefully Hajime won't take it as pushy. That wouldn't be good. But to be fair, he never had an issue with smiling. It's just the people who don't know him too well that think he's stoic. A heavy sigh escaped his mouth, guilt hitting him once again. For someone claiming to know everything about his partner, he sure was quick to jump to conclusions. You look even more down than yesterday. Oikawa no less than jumped when the deep voice sounded behind him, his heart speeding up both from the startle and the soft tone Iwaizumi used. Oh, do I? I guess I didn't sleep as well as I thought. He tried to play it off with a chuckle, but he had no illusions that would fool Iwaizumi to any degree. And sure enough, judging by Iwaizumi's confused expression, it really didn't. Is something going on? Not really, I'm thinking about us and the whole situation and other stuff. Still? He sat down opposite of him, and Oikawa barely stopped himself from squealing when he took hold of his hand. One would almost say nothing ever happened between them. That this was just their usual morning, just like the hundreds of mornings before. Except it wasn't. You are still beating yourself over that? Obviously. If I wasn't stupid, I would just ask you straight up, not play some guessing game. You were distressed. But I shouldn't have been. We've been together for years. We've known each other since we were children. I know what kind of person you are, and yet all it took was one moment and everything was gone. Iwaizumi sighed, his face a mix of sorrow and softness Oikawa was so used to seeing during better times. I'm horrible to you sometimes, aren't I? First with the ring and now this. No, stop. Don't. That fall wasn't your fault. How? If... Stop it. We've talked about it plenty already. His voice didn't stray out of the gentle tone, though Oikawa was sure he heard a slight reproach in it too. Yet his eyes were firm and clear, freezing Oikawa in place. I admit I was hurt you didn't trust me, but in the end, I would probably be distressed too if I saw your look-alike flirting with someone else. And I suppose I might have given you a reason to doubt too. You didn't! He clapped his mouth shut and pulled his head between his shoulders, embarrassed. Sorry, but you never gave me a reason to doubt you. That's what stings the most about it. Taking a shaky breath, he clung to Iwaizumi's hand, a sudden wave of despair taking hold of him. Can I get a smile? Please. Despite looking rather confused by the request, it only took a moment for Iwaizumi to smile at him, the sight freeing him from the cold confines of his mind. Better? Yeah, much better. Thank you. It had been about a week since the strange afternoon, and yet Hayato was no closer to uncovering what caused Taichi to break down in tears like that than that day. Taichi had been quiet most of the time, speaking only when he had to, and spending long minutes just staring into nothing as if his mind was completely elsewhere. Hayato let him be, staying close physically and mentally to make sure Taichi knew he was safe, and just hoped the worst scenario, the man who bothered him at the bar coming back and doing something even worse to him, wasn't the reason behind Taichi's distress. The thing was, he couldn't figure out any other reason. Maybe other than his father contacting him again. But if that was the case, then Taichi would have no reason to hide it, right? Hayato knew his father was an asshole, so why the silence? The whole thing was disturbing, but at least Taichi wasn't flinching from his touch. That gave him hope it might not be that bad. But it didn't change much. Taichi was still out of it, and Hayato didn't know what to do. And it's just going to get worse if I pressure him to talk about it. What am I supposed to do? Come on, think, damn it. You're his husband, so act like it. Yeah? His eyes showed up, meeting with Taichi's clearly cautious gaze. The sight stung right in his heart as if someone sent an arrow through it, but he still managed to get himself to smile. Hey, you're done already? For today, yeah. There was a shadow of hesitation in both his voice and body, urging Hayato to think harder. So, want to have dinner together? I bet you haven't eaten anything since lunch. That sounds nice. There it was again. The same hesitation, the same fidgeting Hayato had watched for the last few days. It hurt. It annoyed him he couldn't figure out how to help. It scared him. So much so he couldn't stop himself this time. What's wrong? I know I can't force you to tell me, and I'm not going to either way, but this whole thing is... I don't know what to do. He sighed heavily, reaching towards Taichi in hopes he could convince him better with a touch. I'm sorry I'm so useless right now, but I need help figuring things out. You aren't. He paused, visibly torn, before he almost carefully settled next to Hayato. It's not your fault. Maybe, but I should be able to help you. You can't help with something you don't know about. Raising his eyes, he gave Hayato a faint smile and then slumped against his chest. I'm sorry. I promise I'll tell you everything when I tidy that mess it created in my head. Now you are seriously worrying me. Still, he returned the hug, squeezing Taichi in his arms with all the despair he now felt bubbling to the surface. Somewhat calmed when Taichi relaxed against him, he caressed his hair and back, repeating the good old mantra in his head. He's not scared of you. He's not flinching away. That alone means things aren't as bad. At least tell me if it's something like threatening. Like your hemophilia getting worse or some other nasty thing coming around. It's not. It's not medical. Hayato sighed in a short-lived relief. At least you aren't going to die on me next week. He didn't say anything though, and instead cradled Taichi in his arms, deciding to keep the challenge for some time else. Tanaka didn't really have any particular reason to come up with the challenge. Maybe other than hopefully making things better after he messed up so bad last week. Seeing Ennoshita cry always hurt, but seeing him cry because he wasn't listening to him and hearing the despair in his voice tore his heart apart. There wasn't much he could do to atone for his mistakes, other than keep his word and try his damn hardest to make his beloved smile again. Hence why he was now preparing a hopefully lovely home date with Ennoshita's favorite food and drinks, candles, music, and rose petals included. Though maybe I should skip the rose petals and just buy him a proper bouquet so we don't have to clean the mess afterwards. Right, the last thing he wanted was to add more work on his fiancée while he was trying to apologize. However, that would have to wait until tomorrow, as the time Ennoshita usually arrived from work was approaching rapidly, and he wouldn't be able to get to the nearby flower shop in time unless he ran. Which was exactly what got them in this situation. It's good even without flowers. And if I wake up early enough, I can surprise him with them. And some breakfast maybe? Yeah, sounds nice. Content with himself, he finished the last touches, filled their glasses and lit up the candles, and then sat down and waited. And waited. And waited. Waited for so long he really started to worry. He checked his phone several times, but no new messages or calls came through to let him know where his partner was. Weird. He got up, already panicking a bit, and headed to get his coat and look outside their building when the door finally opened, the soft footsteps telling him it was Ennoshita coming in. Oh, thank goodness. Chika? Where were you? It's so late already, I thought. He paused when he noticed the strange mist in Ennoshita's eyes and the light sway in his step as he walked into the living room, blinking a few times as if he had to remind himself where he was. What happened? Are you okay? Ennoshita just shook his head, and then Tanaka had his hands full with catching him before he hit the floor. Shit. Chika, come on, don't faint on me. He hissed as pain shot through his legs, but managed to keep them both upright and even lead clearly dazed but fortunately conscious Ennoshita to the couch to sit him down. It took a while, but eventually Ennoshita stopped swaying so much and even his eyes somewhat cleared, though Tanaka was sure his mind and body still weren't fully his. He cupped Ennoshita's cheeks to help him focus, praying he wasn't seeing remnants of some drugs circulating through his fiancée's blood. How do you feel? Do I need to call an ambulance? No. Sorry, I think I made a mistake. With what? Did someone hurt you? Not that. I think I accidentally took the wrong meds, and it had a bad reaction to something else. Wouldn't that justify a hospital visit? Not necessary. It's going to be fine in the morning. It's not a lethal dose or combination. Tanaka let out a small sigh of relief, though there wasn't really much to be relieved about. But at least neither of the horrific scenarios he imagined happened. Okay, then let's get you to bed. Do you think you can eat something? I have a choice of meals, though it's probably cold now. Confusion flashed in Ennoshita's eyes. You cooked? Nah, ordered. I wanted to do a home date, but you need to rest now. Confusion in Ennoshita's face was surprisingly quickly replaced by guilt. You prepared the date? For us? And I ruined it. No, no, no. You didn't ruin anything. We can eat it tomorrow when you are better, okay? I'm sorry. You can say sorry by giving me a smile, And then I'll help you to bed. It took a while, but eventually Ennoshita's lips curled up in a shadow of smile. But Tanaka would take what was given to him. He returned the smile and carefully helped Ennoshita to their bedroom, gently tucking him in while he prepared for a night of keeping watch, just in case. He had heard enough cautionary tales to know better than to go to sleep too. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This part might have not been as pure fluff as you would expect from Fluffsember, but hey, I tried. And yeah, I'm still not tying all the loose ends with the stories. So obviously we are going to continue in searching for answers. Well, you will be searching for answers, I already know them, but hey. Anyway, as I said, things are a little wild right now in my life, so there might be slight delays in the videos over December, but I will still try to deliver as much as possible. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time!